All good things must come to an end. This is the final part of the Sweet and Sultry Summer Reading Festival. I am your host, Joshua Pentalresco. This is Just Joshing, episode 173. Alyssa Palmer, Elizabeth Kelly, Sasha White. Three very, very fun names. And like I said, I'm not going to dwell on this too much right here, right now. I'll get to it at the end. But for the moment, let's continue with the interviews and actually conclude the interviews I had for that day right now. So this is what I'm doing. I am returning. Oh wow, okay, hold on a second here. I am turning the recorders on. So if there's anything incriminating you'd like to say, make it good.
Think of something.
So did you club baby seals? Club baby seals, take candy from babies. Did you bully bullies? But no.
I kind of wish I could have bullied bullies.
You kind of wish you could have bullied bullies, but man, it developed character or something like that. Yeah, sure. So yeah, something like that. So from what I gathered, noir romance.
I know it's not the combination that comes to mind when you think romance.
Romeo and Juliet is kind of a noir romance.
Oh, it's a tragedy, that one.
No, it is a tragedy, but there's also there is. So I was explaining once upon a time that noir is essentially nihilism, some form of nihilism. So if you look at what Romeo and Juliet did, it's kind of nihilistic at the end.
Yeah, it's just.
It's not.
It's almost cliche now.
Well, it wasn't then, though. That's just it. You always have to pay homage to the originals, right? Now everything else that comes afterwards, you can crap on, but the original, you always. You
can crap on some of the film versions.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Although you might beat me for this. I didn't mind the DiCaprio version.
I think I only saw it once, and I don't remember enough to really.
Yeah, okay, of course. She's not going to hideously beat me in this room.
I'm not a violent person.
Okay.
All, so.
No, it's all good. I'm being facetious, but yes. So noir. So where did this combination come from?
Probably a fascination with film noir and with noir, like proper noir literature. So the pulp fiction, the Private Eyes, the gangsters, all that, and so. I wanted to write them, but I also I like romance a lot, and so to have those really dark stories, but yet still have the romantic thread in it, and trying to have not quite a happily ever after, but sort of a mostly happy for now. Just to leave it with a bit of a question, like Midnight at the Orpheus, my one book. It's set in 1920 Chicago with gangsters. Very noir in that sense, very dark, very violent, but yet there's a lesbian relationship that goes through that, and there's also a straight relationship, and then they all sort of end up interacting together, although not in the orgy sense of it.
No.
But the dynamic was really dark and kind of uncomfortable, and so for that one I think it's more on the noir side of romance.
Which is the romances can be very. I'm going to shut the door real quick.
Yes.
I need a question on that side. Creepy door sounding closed, I know. This is the most interesting place on the planet where I can have the creepy door closed and yet it's balanced by ice cream. It's a weird. I might use this as a room somewhere down the road because it lend a certain storytelling whodunit.
Yeah, it does.
It does. Yeah, just.
You can do a lot of things with freezers.
Yes, you can. I just went to the dark really quick there. Wow.
I was thinking, what was it? That Viggo Mortensen film, Eastern Promises. Guy in the freezer.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do a lot of great things. Like, okay, we just went there. All right, let's get to the romantic side of this. Again, wow. Okay, well, when you're with someone that's not good for you, it does. I mean, there tends to be a lot of self-destructive tendencies in a relationship. So I'm not saying that that's quite what you're doing, because but it's not that out of the realm of possibility. That's what I'm saying.
And definitely in some of my books, there are relationships that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a big part of it. Like with Orpheus, there were those relationships, sort of, because none of the characters were in monogamous relationships, and so some of the people they were in relationships with were really horrible for them, and others not so much. And so they're trying to find that balance, because you don't want it to be like doom, gloom, and tension all the time, but yet.
But that's part of the allure sometimes too.
Yeah.
We do sometimes love the things that try to kill us. It's
Well, and sometimes you just can't help it, or you can't break free of what that bad person is. Like there's too much of a connection, whether it's self-inflicted or not. There's,
well,
it's hard. Sometimes people are just habits.
Well, no, I think that's the big. I think that's the big one, right? You get familiar and comfortable with somebody, and when you get familiar and comfortable with somebody, it's easy to stay there, right? So.
Well, and it's scary to move beyond that zone, even if that zone is not that great.
Yeah.
It's worse.
Well, the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, you grew up with romances, and you incorporated noir.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many books have you done so far?
I think we're upwards of, I could count the novellas and stuff, about 14 now.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Give or take a couple.
Yeah. So, this is like your own. This almost feels like your own little personal niche in the genre.
I kind of feel like it is, because I haven't really found anyone else doing it.
That's a good thing though, because that means it's all you. That means you're first, and everybody else that comes on, you can crack.
I would love to see other people write.
Oh no, absolutely, no, absolutely.
Romance. It'd be fun. I find I've had some reviews that were really, really good, and I've had a few where they go, I was looking for romance, but holy cow, this was just too dark. So it's trying to find those readers too. It's a little tougher, because your traditional noir readers are looking for like the hardened PI, or they're looking for that kind of thing.
No, absolutely.
And then your romance readers generally are not looking for that kind of darkness, unless it's sort of like a hurt comfort kind of thing, which I don't do. So.
Yeah, no, I get you. Hurt comfort, okay. Yeah.
Because those are the ones like where someone is really like injured or damsel distress.
Yeah. The Florence Nightingale concept, right? Yeah. So, I get it. It's just one of those things where I look at it and go, but it's almost like you've made new ground is what you've kind of done, and as a result, it's unique, it's you, and even though right now it might not seem like there's a lot there, you create a hole, I don't know, that's the wrong word. You create a niche, right? Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, you're going to find people that want to fulfill that niche, right? There's 7 billion people on this planet, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there's more than...
Yeah. I mean, if you can tap into even like a 0.3% of that, you're quite content.
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. So, are you going to keep writing in this style, or do you want?
I think I will. I have sort of a couple different sort of genres within romance that I write in, because I do write also some contemporary romance that is a lot lighter, for me anyway. I mean, some other people might think it's still, but it's a lot lighter. But I've got a few ideas percolating for another romance.
Noir. So that's just what you like, and that's all. And that's a good thing. So what inspired, like, you like noirs, like what
I do. A lot of it, I'm a really big fan of old movies, like the really old Bogart films, like sort of pre-Casablanca Bogart, and some of it's post too. Like one of his best noirs was In a Lonely Place, which was done in the early 50s, and he plays sort of a washed up writer who's an alcoholic, and he connects with this woman, and they're both fairly destructive personalities, and it does end badly, but the whole dynamic between them was really powerful. Like they wanted to be together, they couldn't quite resist each other, they probably were a lot better off apart, because his character Dixon Steele was definitely in that downward spiral, but it was really quite compelling.
it's two people. It's two people that they have a certain connection, and it just doesn't. It's just not meant to be.
That's it exactly. Like you feel like it should be, but there's just things keeping them apart.
And also, like you think about the old movies. There's a language to them that just does not exist today. And although they're slower,
a lot of them are.
Yeah. They are a touch slower than today.
Mm-hmm.
You care more about what happens to those characters, right? Bogart's character you talked to there seems like a dick, but also
and he really was not sympathetic in a moment and place. I mean, unlike say Casablanca, which is one way is a bit noir, as well with the subject matter and the ending. I mean, I don't want to say spoilers, but if you haven't seen Casablanca, spoilers. You know, he doesn't end up with Ilsa, which for a Hollywood film, you know, for the love interest not to end up with each other at the end of the film.
It's also one of the best movies Hollywood's ever done.
Well, it is, exactly.
It's arguably the best one. Yeah, it's arguably the best one. And the reason why is because the ending feels a lot realer than a lot of the others.
You know, you have to go with Victor because you're the reason he does his work, and he's this great humanitarian and this war guy.
And we'll always have Paris.
Yeah, exactly. So like there is this romance and there's this power in it. And it's incredibly romantic film, but there isn't a happy ending in the typical sense of happy ending.
Well, I think that's the other thing too. Like romances don't necessarily have to have happy endings. In fact,
by definition, they do actually.
They really?
Yeah, either happily ever after or like a happily for now. So it's not necessarily like marriage and kids and that happily ever after, but it can be like in the end they have to be sort of.
So that must be like so for happy for now is definitely what you're going for then.
Yes.
That must be like a really hard balancing act for you because it's like okay, I'm writing a noir story right now.
Oh, awesome.
Yes. Oh, it's dark. It starts with a prison rape scene and it just gets darker.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's really and I'm literally at the point where it's like darkest moment, and I'm like, it makes sense to go to its darkest moment, right? In a romance, you can't always go to that darkest moment.
Well, you're probably not starting with that darkest moment. Usually that black moment is kind of like right when everything seems to be going so well.
Yes.
Something happens that's the blackest, so black.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is a different dynamic there. But I mean, I had one noir romance. It was a gay romance, and one of the characters was a drug addict, and it stayed dark
the whole way through.
Almost the whole way through. That's the one where I had a lady who said she couldn't finish it.
Oh wow.
It was just too dark. So,
wow.
Sometimes that's a compliment, but yet I kind of felt bad for her that she couldn't.
Okay. Well, here's the bad news. We are out of time.
Oh, I know.
Here's the good news. I'd like to have you again, like for a longer conversation. Okay, name's Josh. So here's what I want you to do. Talk about your latest book.
Okay.
All right, and how people can find you.
All right. So my latest book is a lot less dark, and it's called Betting on Second Chances. It's part of the Women of Stampede series. It's available online on unusual vendors, Amazon, etc. It's also available in Chapters and Indigo stores in Calgary through Stampede, and I can be found at alyssalynnpalmer.com, on Twitter as AlysLynn, ALYSLINN, and on Instagram and Facebook.
Cool. So, give me a second here. Because my next guest is going to be coming in. Right. Hello.
Hi.
Ooh, you're going to be fun.
Oh, are we?
Yes.
We're both fun.
Yes.
And we're both loud. Yes, we are.
That's good. So what we're going to do, hold on a second here, before we continue.
I'm dancing to your fan.
Are you decent?
Oh, there's my mommy. Nice.
When you're ready.
I'm gonna tap on the window and scare the crap out of her. It's just as hot here too. We're all dying.
No.
She's not even gonna hear you.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Sorry, that's my mom.
No, nice. No, it's totally cool. So, I was told about you, but I'm going to be. I've interviewed. If you can give me your interview line. So Sasha White is
Me.
Yay!
Sasha, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. Okay.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm the one who's been like tagging you and everything. I'm hey, doing the podcast.
I haven't. You have to. I have to find you so I can.
Okay.
I'm so bad at social media.
By the way, this is all on, so I'm just letting you know.
That's fine.
So, yeah, okay, as long as you're cool with that. So this is my card.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm gonna give you one too.
Great, thank you.
There's me getting beaten up by stick figures and a unicorn farting out my hard pass. I take myself very seriously.
I can tell. I'm on it already. I can't wait.
Oh, this is part of the show. So we're going to talk about. So you're both romance authors. Now the topic with you is about writing dirty. Your case, though, I don't know.
She writes dirty too.
Yeah. Most romance writers do write a little dirty. It's just the way it is.
What are you saying? We're pervs or something?
Maybe.
There's the clean romance. We don't fall under clean.
No, honey, we don't.
But there's the clean romance.
Oh, no.
I hate that being called clean though. I don't like that as a title. Sweet is okay, but to me, mine is still clean.
Look on her face.
It's clean. It's very naughty and it's explicit, but it's clean. I mean, there's no
action. There's no breaking the plane in the podcast.
No.
Sorry, in the book.
Sorry. Oh, as I kick you.
I'm getting beaten up, and there's no safe words. This is the problem.
It's my kind of fun.
I need an adult. No.
Adult supervision over here, please.
It's like, and then it's like, wait, I am a. Oh God, help me. I am the. Yeah, actually, that's the worst thing. When
Would you like to have a safe word?
No, it's okay.
You could pick a safe word. It has
We
to
won't
be
do anything you don't like.
Yeah.
Okay.
We respect safe words.
Adult.
Adult is your safe word.
Adult.
No saying it unless you want to say it.
Okay.
Podcast over. He's safe worded.
Damn. It's over.
Sorry, I interrupted. You were talking about Elizabeth, and I said she writes dirty too. Go for it.
I have no idea where we're at right now. Actually, I do know where we're at. We were talking about the whole idea of clean versus dirty romance. I think so. It's an interesting thing because I don't write romance. I write science fiction. Okay. And the subject of when sex comes up, I tend to take the Asanovian approach. Most people, when it comes to sex, have a pretty good imagination already. You know, like the actual physical descriptions of what's being done and how it's being done. Really, I mean, unless it serves. Now there are a few exceptions. It does serve the purpose of the story if there's a need for it.
Yes.
But a lot of times it is a bit like in terms of that particular genre, it's gratuitous. Does that make sense?
It depends. To me, that you're edging into the territory of what's the difference between romance and erotic romance.
Yes. No, and that's fair. And this is why I'm the ignorant guy, and I'm being.
No, that's totally cool.
Yeah,
that's totally cool.
You're right. No, it's just one of those things. Like I think that is the connotation, though. I think when you put clean and dirty together, right? Like clean. Well, you're never going to have anything that even remotely teases that, right? Whereas, and again, I'm not an expert on this, right? But I'm assuming it's a little bit more on the dirty end of things, right? It tends to be you're allowed to be a little more explicit.
Oh yes, for sure.
You can be as explicit as you want.
Yeah.
It just depends on the level of heat or steam in your
Right.
romance.
And do you like for you as somebody who also writes erotic and everything, do you think that erotic could be explicit but also not explicit?
I think
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
the
depending on
definition of explicit, right? Like, for some people, if they want a clean or a sweet romance, they want behind closed doors fade to black.
Yes.
That's where they draw the line.
Right.
Anything past that to them is now an explicit or a steamy read.
Yes.
Right.
So I think it just depends on what your comfort level is with. How much do you want to read? Do you want all those dirty words in there? Do you want to see exactly what they're doing in the bedroom? Yeah. To me, then it's just straight up steamy and explicit.
Yes. And there is romances that are steamy and explicit, but that aren't necessarily what I personally would categorize as erotic.
Yes. No, and I think that's fair because I mean there are levels, I guess, to this whole concept.
Well, and not only that, but I don't understand why it's so hard for people to understand that erotic romance is a romance where the erotic content is integral to the story, when it's so easy to understand that sci-fi romance is a romance where science fiction is integral to the story.
Yes.
So it's the same thing. Whether, like, to me, it just means that, you know, like, it's so easy if you tell people, not that you write sci-fi romance, but if you did write sci-fi romance, people don't say, well, how explicit is the science fiction? How into detail do you get?
And that's an interesting line. Because, okay, like let's go to another sort of line, especially with science fiction and fantasy. I have read some romance books that are less explicit than some of the stuff that you can get away with in a fantasy novel.
Yeah.
Right. Tana Fleet, she's a really good writer. However, in her fantasy, she goes down like some really explicit holes.
She goes down. That's all you need to say now.
She goes down.
Yeah, we got it.
Yes.
Speaking our language now.
I totally.
Welcome to our world, Josh.
Thanks.
Are you blushing?
A little bit. Yes.
He hasn't safe worded yet. We're okay.
We're still good. We're still good. You know, now I have to end this podcast with the safe word. You know that, right?
See, this is the power of writing dirty.
Yeah,
It makes men blush.
Absolutely.
It makes women blush. It makes all of it. And that is a good, dirty story. Well,
it's not. It's not. Sex is supposed to be fun. Romance is supposed to be fun. And if it's not fun, and honestly,
you're not doing it right.
Exactly. You're doing something wrong. No, I totally agree. Like, you are doing something wrong if that's the case. Because if it's not fun, if it's like an obligatory deal, and I've seen this with a lot of marriages, a lot of relationships, right? They get together when the moon and the stars are aligned a certain way, and it is the most amazing, like, 25 seconds of their lives. And then months later.
So you've been married, right?
No,
I'm kidding.
No.
25 seconds. Josh, you're not doing it right.
I know.
And you're not doing yourself any favors by announcing that.
I feel like we need to give him some of our books to read.
I'm always up. Might as well. Hey, listen. Sure, why not?
We'll drop some off at the end of the podcast.
All right. That's right. All right.
Nice little package.
With a safe word bookmark reads.
Read these. We bookmark certain passages that may help you.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Think of it as an instruction manual.
That's right.
Sorry.
Keep totally going off topic.
No. This is why the 15-minute format kind of blows. You can't go off topic for too long because normally when I do my podcast, like, it goes anywhere and everyone and like I said,
that's the joy of it, right?
Well, no, that's the true fun because I get to. So no joke, I get to talk to amazing people like this individual right here. And I get to hear how they do incredible things on a regular basis.
Is that who's playing? Like the guitar?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was really good. She was really good.
No, I had a ton of fun. She was one of my favorites. We're probably going to connect afterwards because I've been doing I know naturopathic stuff for 20 years. My dad's been doing it for 50 years. So I know for what she's doing right now, I know quite a few things about, like, the pros and cons and why, like, personally, why I would do some things, why I wouldn't do some things. So I'm going to get my brain picked, and that's great.
I feel like if she's his favorite, we need to step it up. Talk dirty here.
Go down.
That's right.
Do something different to be his favorite.
We got to turn on some music. We got to, like, you know.
I got a riding crop out there. You want to really use your
on the table. Just on the table, people walk by.
Are you kidding me? Okay, so I'm not gonna say who because that would get me in a lot of trouble. But I get one of the advantages of being like doing what I'm doing is I get to hear everybody's stories. So I had this one friend of mine. She's one of the sweetest, like most free-spirited people I know, right? So I was giving her some like helping her for relationships, like, and she just her little thing is he has like the biggest dick ever, and she showed me pictures. And I'm like.
So you should give her my email so she can send me those pictures. No, I only like dick pics when I ask for them.
No good comes from dick pics if they're not asked for.
Exactly.
No, even sometimes when they are asked for, no good comes from dick pics.
It all depends on the picture.
No matter what, it's just trouble.
We might have to agree to disagree. I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Dick pics?
Sometimes they're all right. Like if they're, asked for, yes, that's fine.
If you're asked for it and you're in the right mood and you're like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, when are we seeing each other again? No. That's a good one.
So instead,
watch our Facebooks just get bombarded.
Dick pic for everyone.
It will be me because it'll be my podcast show. It'll be my podcast show.
We heard that Josh likes dick pics.
That's right. Yeah,
He's willing to look at him and give an opinion.
That's like a 5, like a 7.
Ooh, this one, you want to meet this guy? No. But I will say, and I am happy to say that I think in several books, including the one you told me about earlier, that the dick is not everything.
No.
So, dick pics, as fun as they are, it doesn't really matter. Size is not everything. It is something, but it is not everything. Same as looks are not everything.
But it really, honestly, the best stuff is actually the most intimate stuff. Mm-hmm. That's actually the absolute best stuff. As far as everything else goes, it's the little things that you remember when it's all said and done. It's not the big stuff. And that's the best stuff. The worst stuff is when it's wham bam, thank you. It's like that's absolutely the shittiest because it's like.
But that falls into its own category. So if we're writing erotic romance, if you're looking for that wham bam thank you, that's when you're looking at just the pure erotica.
Yeah.
Where without the sex there is no story. The sex is the story.
Yep.
Right? And so oftentimes I find anyway that you can have people who don't understand that distinction between writing your erotic romance and the erotica. So you can have your erotic romance, the sex is an integral part of that story, but there's still that intimacy. You still want to have that connection. So,
and people seem to think that erotica is easier to write than erotic romance, or I don't know. But let me tell you, to write quality erotica is not easy to find and easy to write.
I imagine. Well,
notice I put quality in there.
No. I imagine. Like I said this at the very beginning. Everybody's got the imagination for it. The chops to do it, that's another thing.
Because it has to be more than just spot A and part B and this goes here and
there's a psychology to it. And it's like anything else, there's a psychology of how it works and how it works well, and there's things that just don't work.
Well, I think how to get it across to people in a way that when they're reading it or listening to it as an audio or anything like that, that their imagination is caught.
Yes.
Because that is the joy and the big difference between books and movies, right? With books, sure, you want a nice cover or whatever, but it's really your imagination that's making everything happen. Even though the words are on the page, it's the reader that's making it come to life.
Yes.
And it's,
Yes.
Sorry.
No. That's actually, that was good stuff.
He's like, I like that.
I like that. That's real, right? And that's real. At some point here, I'm gonna have our MC come in here, probably needing a drink to commemorate this very long afternoon. So I'm gonna ask 2 questions. One, nothing to do with this. Did you ladies have fun today?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite part of the show? If you don't mind me asking, because I've been locked in this little ice cream like murder scene of a.
Actually, that's a very good description.
Murder scene. We're not worried at all sitting in here. For me, the favorite part was just meeting a bunch of different Canadian authors, because sometimes you can feel, Sasha and I were talking about this, we just discovered today that we're both from Edmonton. And so just knowing that there's somebody else in our city to be able to say, hey, let's connect, let's talk all things writing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So just getting to meet and talk with other specifically Canadian and even specifically Alberta authors.
Yeah.
That's been awesome for me. That's
and
been my favorite
specifically
part.
Canadian Alberta authors who write dirty.
Who write dirty.
That's right.
That's right, dirty sisters.
They're writing dirty. They are writing dirty.
Yes.
They are writing.
Yes, and that was fun, having the sultry side and the clean side. You know, like,
And being exposed to, because that's honestly not something I normally would seek out or pay attention to or look at even.
The sweet
and
romance.
it's not that, because it's just, I don't know, I don't know why. I think sex is an integral part of life.
Absolutely.
And to me, if I want to write a complete story or write books, it has to include sex. So when books don't include sex, unless it's like a thriller or something, I don't pay much attention to it. And even as a shout out, one of my favorite thriller writers, Lee Child, needs to learn how to write a sex scene. I love Lee Child and I love the Jack Reacher books, but there needs to be better sex scenes in these books. Anyway.
Coming soon on a future podcast episode, the psychology of writing a sex scene.
Yeah. But like seeing some of those, like, and finding books like out there that I never would normally find, finding authors that I never would normally look up online or look for anything, and trading books, because it doesn't cost us any money to trade books with other authors. That's how we get our books. So
that's right. It's how you get your fix.
Right, right. So it's like, yours looks really good. Want to trade? So books that you wouldn't normally buy, but hey, I'll give you one of mine if you want to try it. And I'll try one of yours, or like.
Fair enough. So going back to getting me blushing and getting me to the safe word thing. So because we are going to wrap this up at some point really soon here. What are you guys currently releasing, and how can people get a hold of you?
Ooh, you go first.
I have to think. That requires thinking. You go first. The best way to just find out more information about me is to go to my website, which is www.elizabethkelly.ca, because I'm Canadian. So you have to look at the .ca. Right now, I'm just working on a second book I normally write contemporary and paranormal. I wrote a science fiction romance. That's filthy. And I'm writing the second one in this series, so that'll be out later this year. With
an ugly hero.
Well, I always I write a lot of books at once. So I say that the science fiction one is coming out next. I could be wrong. It could be a paranormal one coming out next. I'm like wild and crazy out in the air there. Just like,
fair enough.
You get what you get when I put it out there.
That's right. And you'll like it.
Yeah.
Or you'll safe word.
You can safe word.
All right. Before I safe word out of here.
There you go. You can find me pretty much Facebook, Sasha White, Facebook, Twitter, under Sasha White, website, sashawhite.net. I'm also on YouTube now. I have a YouTube channel. It's brand new. And Patreon, where you can read as I'm writing the next novel, Carnal, which is the fourth book in my Overwatch series. So
very, very cool. And your Patreon stuff under your name?
Patreon, under just Sasha White.
Is this the same with YouTube?
Yep, Sasha White.
Okay. Just, I'm making sure here before I close this off. So.
When in doubt, go to the website and everything will be linked somewhere.
That's why I was like, just go to the website. You'll find everything.
But I'm not.
And my safe word, adult. Wait, it's over now. It's been over for a while. You're good. You're good. It's safe. It's safe, Josh. It's totally safe. This was a lot of fun. I got to talk to a lot of incredible women that day, especially. Just different people doing very amazing things. Whether it's the Women's Stampede, Shelley Cassian, Kathy O'Connor, talking about, Western romances, whether it's Alice Hunt with her political diatribe, which, I'm not very politically inclined, but, it's cool. It's cool to see passion like that with everybody. Kaylee Kamikaze, Naked Readers of Alberta, that was a lot of fun. Danielle French, big fan, love her album. Miss Scarlet and the Madman is definitely worth listening to. Rand Haynes, I think really cool friend. She likes to watch her. Hooray for me. Mel V, man, that was a lot of fun to listen to her. do her thing there. Oh man, Sasha White, Elizabeth Kelly, Alyssa Palmer, Wenday. They all, just amazing women all the way through. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the MC, the person that put this all together, MJ and Colette herself. She did an amazing job putting this event together, start to finish. So for me and everybody else, MJ and Colette, thank you very, very much for having me on the show. And for putting it together and everything you did. At some point, I'd love to have you on the show, talk about everything you did here. But yeah, no, this was a really cool event. Romance and erotica do not get the opportunity to be taken, I think, as seriously as they should be. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I prefer Shakespeare? Me personally, I'm a sci-fi fantasy guy. And I'm still going to be a sci-fi fantasy guy. But good writing is good writing. It doesn't really matter what genre. Your voice is your voice. And if you have a good enough voice, it doesn't matter what it is. Erotica, like Sasha talked about, super hard to do well. It's better when people are able to appreciate the work that goes into stuff like that. And I'm mentioning there's a lot of other ladies that were there that, do their thing on a regular basis, and you all rock. And I was really, really honored to be part of it. So thank you guys. And that, unfortunately, is that. Thank you very much. I hope I get to do something like this again next year. But until then, there are a couple things you can do for the podcast. First and foremost, you can subscribe to it. Podomatic, Player FM, iTunes, wherever the podcast is available to listen to, you can do so. Subscribe to it, leave reviews, be nice. I have a YouTube channel, Joshua Pentalaresco. I have archived more episodes. I'm really proud of the fact that I got the chance to do some more. MJ and Colette's interviews up there now. Plus, my GoFundMe, the second version, not the first version, is up there for people to listen to if they want right now. And more are going up there before the night's done. So there's that. My books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, available through MirrorWorldPublishing.com or wherever books can be ordered, brick and mortar or electronic. You can find my stuff there. It's true. Oh, it's true. But regardless of all that, stay inspired out there. Respect art. Respect it no matter, because you know what? Art is art. Good writing is good writing, no matter where it comes from. Thanks very much, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Josh.